What's up, Dragon Brood? We're here on, I guess, video 4 of the Kaldheim previews. My hair's a mess. I need to get it cut. I'm tired. It has been a hell of a week, and Watsy wasted no time putting out more previews today. So, wow, we have a lot to cover. And I think this is going to continue for the next 2 weeks. So, I'm going to try to be on top of it. Y'all can reward me by hitting the subscribe button, hitting that notification bell, hitting the like button so more people see these videos, but more importantly, helping us get to 10,000 subscribers by February 1st. We are so close. We're under 400 remaining. Please help us out. Hit that subscribe. Oh, also, before we get further into this video, let me tell everybody, I saw a lot of the comments, understand I am not going to give every single thing that a card can do. We can't do that. I would be doing a 2-hour video just on these cards. If you want to talk about other things cards do, when this is all done, we're talking about doing some live streams that we will get into detail with actual, more specific applications of every card. But, yes, I know there's even more things these cards can do. I'm trying to give, the top line, top level stuff just to have discussion around the cards so we can move on to the next card and keep doing this for the next, I don't know, 10 days or something. Let's get to more previews. All right, Goldspan Dragon. This is one that there's been already a lot of hype about. It's 5 mana, 3 red. Dragon, of course. 4/4, flying, haste. Whenever Goldspan Dragon attracts or becomes a target of a spell, create a treasure token. Treasure you control, have tap, sacrifice. Add 2 mana of any one color. Now, that's actually a big deal, right? Because you're paying 5 mana, you get a 4/4 flying haste creature. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't get countered, you're going to get either a thing that makes 2 mana, or you're going to get to hit for 4, right? That seems okay. Or if you play it and they target it, it's okay, well, now you attacked. Well, you probably won't attack. It'll come into play, they'll kill it, you'll get a thing. Cool. This card's got to be good. I just don't know how good, but it's got to be playable. All right, Tyverkhell, 2 green Planeswalker, 3 loyalty, has a static ability of elves you control have tap, add a black mana, so that's interesting. +1 loyalty, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target elf, untap it. It gains death touch until end of turn. For 0, you can create a 1/1 green elf token, and -6, you get an emblem that whenever you cast an elf, it gains haste on the turn, and you draw 2 cards. So let's be honest, that ultimate's pretty sick, right? If you can get to that point where you can just start rolling all your creatures out, they'll also, well, I guess they won't tap if you minus it and get rid of it. But just having things that have haste and getting to draw 2 cards, that's pretty sick for a late game ability. Pretty awesome. You get to make a blocker, which is always a good thing we're happy about on Planeswalkers. It's low loyalty, so your opponent can probably get rid of this fairly easy unless you +1 to untap something and make it bigger. So that's the thing, though it's not until your following turn. You only get Death Touch that turn, so if you don't attack with it, the Death Touch isn't really going to matter. But I think if you're building any type of elf tribal deck, this has got to go into there. It's actually really useful on a lot of levels. It gives you more creatures, it can produce more mana, its ultimate can help you draw cards. It's kind of doing everything you want to do in those decks. All right, Cosmo's Charger. It's a 3 colorless and a blue, 3/3 flying flash. Foretell cards in your hand cost 1 less, and you can play them on any player's turn. This has Foretell itself for 2 colorless and a blue. Now, the thing about this card is it actually has potential to be very good. It basically is giving you mana and giving you flexibility. And for instants that have Foretell, you're actually able to just play them without really prepping them, and that's pretty cool too. The question just comes down to how good are the Foretell cards that are coming? We don't really know. The ones we've seen are pretty good. I don't know how good yet, and I think that's going to be the biggest issue. If those are good, then this card stands to be great. If they're not good, then this probably reaches mid-level popularity or playability. It's a sizable body. It does cost 4 mana, but it does have flash, so you don't have to commit to it on your turn, which is something blue decks love. But not so sure on this one. I know some people are higher on it than I am, reasonably so. I'm very judgmental on blue cards, but I think I'm still going to hold judgment on this till we see some more Foretell stuff. All right, Calamitybearer, 2 colorless, red, giant berserker, 3/4. If a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. This is the type of thing giant decks need. Imagine playing this alongside the Tectonic Giant, where like you attack or they target, you could just deal 6. Like that's awesome. Like so this has some play. Now granted, you are going to be in that situation where you're going to have multiple giants that cost 4. That's a thing, could be a problem. But you just play this anyway. This card's good. And the art is actually pretty sick. Like, check that thing out. That's pretty cool. But yeah, this card overall, I think is pretty sweet. Also note that so far, all the giants we've seen have been red and blue. And I believe this is because I guess there's 10 sectors or something, areas of Kaldheim. And where the giants come from tend to be frost giants and fire giants. So that's probably why we're seeing a bunch of blue and red stuff. I don't know if we're going to get giants in other colors, which if so, puts a little bit of a kink in some of the plans people had for building giant decks, because a lot of the ones we have that exist already are green, and we do have the one white giant that actually sweeps the board, except for giants, but we do have all the pathways. So, I don't know what that means, just some information I wanted to pass out there. Reflections of Litjara, 4 colorless, blue, enchantment. As Reflections enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell, the chosen type, copy that spell. This could be really fun. Now, is it standard legal playable? I don't know, but man, if you play something like this in Commander around a theme deck, and you can just double all the stuff you're playing, like that seems really cool. There's not much more to say about this card, but definitely has some applications in Commander, kitchen table stuff. This could be really popular. But there might just be a home. Like maybe, I don't know, possibly giants. I doubt it. This costs expensive, 5 mana alongside the other giants. But there's probably something we can do with this. But I at least think it's going to warrant consideration and might make some fun jank deck potential that we'll put up on the website. Another cool thing for the giants. Giants Amulet Blue. Equip Artifact. When Giants Amulet enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 colorless and a blue. If you do, you create a 4/4 giant. And it's equipped. Equipped creature gets +0/+1 and this creature has hexproof as long as it's untapped. Equip cost of 2. This is okay. I'm not sold on it one way or the other. I do think it's just useful, honestly. It's a cool card in a way that it can protect your giants as you're trying to set something up. So you're not investing a ton of mana to just have the card instantly die, which is kind of cool. I don't know how many of these you would play, maybe like 2 of in a giant deck, if assuming you're playing some type of aggressive giant deck. But it is cool late game, because even if you don't have creatures, it's like it just makes a token that you can equip up as well, and your opponent can't really just immediately kill the token easily. So there has a lot of things going for it. I appreciate the space we have here lately where we're getting more equipment that actually have more impactful situations when they come hit the battlefield. So that way you're not just investing all this mana for a thing you may not ever get to realize. So really big on that. Hailstorm Valkyrie, 3 colorless, black, 2/2. Snow, creature, angel, wizard, flying, trample. Pay 2 snow mana. It gets +2/+2 to end their turn. So lots of things to talk about on this card real quick. First, black angel, awesome. Weird snow frame, but that's a thing. Anything that references snow is going to have its own frame now. Supposedly that's going to be the frame going forward. So cool. Thing to note for the future. Also is an angel wizard, so maybe being a wizard matters to some of the tribal, or not tribal, but party decks. Who knows? And activation costs for snow mana. So lots going on with this card. What does that mean? I don't know. It's an uncommon. Is it great? Nah, probably not. You do have to keep spending 2 mana to turn it into a 4/4. But it does have trample, so that's something. I just figured I would bring it up just because it's kind of covering a few new things in the set. Seize the Spoils, 2 colorless, red, sorcery. As additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, then you draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. Sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. So this is actually pretty interesting, right? Because we've had these types of cards before where you discard and draw 1 or 2 cards. Like this is kind of a red thing to do. But the fact that you're getting a mana alongside it is pretty intriguing. I don't know if this replaces the other spells that you normally play in these slots, but that is something to think about. Where you have something that either needs additional mana when you're hunting for something, could also be something that just takes advantage of having more artifacts in play. That could be a thing. So there's probably a home for this. I just don't know where it is. But it's very interesting that now you can draw cards and produce mana with this type of effect. Old Growth Troll, green, green, green. Troll Warrior, 4/4, trample. When Old Growth Troll dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. It's an aura enchantment with Enchant Forest you control, and Enchant Forest has tap, add 2, and has the ability of 1, tap and sacrifice the land, create a 4/4 green troll warrior creature token with trample. That is a lot of stuff going on. Okay, so first thing, missed this yesterday, so I wanted to make sure I covered it today. The I guess flavor here is that one of the 10 places on Kaldheim is that there's a troll area, and the trolls are so old sometimes they hibernate and they become part of the land. So I guess that's what they're trying to represent here in the card. Now, does this mean we're gonna get a bunch of trolls where this is the ability? Because if so, count me in. Like having all these creatures that are just not gonna die ever, and you just get to keep making tokens, keep coming after your opponent, like cards that just come out of your yard and become enchantments. Like this is doing a lot of things. It's a 4/4 for 3, which is awesome. It tramples, which is great. It can help your lands produce more mana if it dies, or just become a 4/4 at effectively instant speed, it looks like, because it's just you sacrifice and pay the 1. So many things happening here. Like, this card feels really good. Now, how many can you play alongside, I don't know, whatever mono green thing you'd be playing? So, like, do you play this and Yorvo and some other stuff? Like, that remains to be seen, but man, you could really play some big, hefty green beaters in New Standard. This could be pretty cool. This card really might do something. Coma, Cosmo, Serpent, 3, green, blue. So that's a lot of mana. That's 7 for a 6/6, though it can't be countered. At the beginning of each upkeep, you create a 3/3 blue serpent creature token named Coma's Coil. Sacrifice another serpent, choose 1. Tap, target permanent. Its activated abilities can't be activated this turn. Coma, Cosmo, Serpent gains indestructible until end of turn. So yeah, this is a big deal. Like, if this card lives a turn, you can effectively have it just be indestructible for nearly ever, or force your opponent to play around some things, which is pretty tough. Also has the ability to just turn a creature off, or get something out of the way. That being said, the card itself doesn't fly, doesn't trample, doesn't have any type of evasive ability, so it's not a closer all by itself. But being able to make a 3/3 token every turn, that's not nothing. That is a sizable body. I mean, I don't even know, like, imagine if I don't know, if you get into a world where you play, like, turn 5 Gargaroth, turn 6 this thing, you probably are just winning. I mean, I can't imagine that scenario is going to be that common. This is a cool mythic, though, right? Like, it's doing a big, fancy thing. I don't think it necessarily goes into every deck. It probably wants something specific to play it. Maybe this is the type of card that something like, say, Simic Mutate is looking for, where you can get that extra mana, or maybe trick this into play with Asterix. It could fit in that home. I mean, there's a few things we could do with this, but yeah, overall, just a really neat design and a wild, crazy card. All right, Persia, Judge of Valor, legendary creature, Angel Cleric, 2, white, black, 2/4, flying, lifelink. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Like, 5 mana for a 2/4 is kind of a big investment. It does have flying and lifelink, which is nice. If you are playing something that needs cards in your graveyard, it seems like it could be pretty good. However, there's already enough mill, and I don't think mill is necessarily just going to disappear. So there's already going to be a lot of things putting stuff in your graveyard. The other side of that is there's already things targeting graveyards because mill still exists. So, like, I don't know. I think this is neat, but as an uncommon, I'm not too upset at it being around. Eska, God of the Tree. Colorless green, 1/4. Add 1 mana of any color. Other legendary creatures you control have vigilance. And add 1 mana of any color. The backside is Prismatic Bridge, Wooburg mana. Legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Well, if you want to play something like this in Commander, pretty sweet, right? You could play all the legendary stuff you want. You only get 1 of everything anyway. So it's pretty cool. It can help you search out your key cards. Kind of exciting, right? I'm kind of down with this. For standard play, how many legendary things we're going to put into a deck? I don't know. We have seen some decks already that'll play 3 different things that are legendary in like 3 copies. So maybe you include this. Don't know. Is it room for something to go alongside like an elf deck where you're trying to generate a lot of extra mana and go like elf ball style? Potentially. Question then would be, though, how often would you use the backside for the Prismatic Bridge? I almost feel like this is going to be in decks where playing one side or the other is what you're really aiming for. The other side's just going to be kind of a 1 in 10 games kind of thing where you actually cast it. I could be wrong though. This is one that just looks really flashy, but I'm not sure it's going to have necessarily a 60 card impact as much as it could a commander impact. But speaking of legendaries, here's another one. Kovari, God of Kinship. 2 colorless, green. Legendary creature, God. As long as you control 3 or more legendary creatures, Kovari gets +4/+2 and has vigilance. Colorless and a green, tap, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a legendary creature from among them, put that into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in your order. The backside is the Ringheart Crest, 1 colorless and a green, legendary artifact. As the Ringheart Crest enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, add 1 green by tapping it. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type or a legendary creature spell. So now that we've read this, between this and the previous card, is it possible to just build an all god deck? Like that, I mean, that's a question to ask at this point, especially since now that we've seen there's going to be a bunch of gods, because you have gods in multiple gods in a single color. So that door is kind of opened up, right? Like maybe we get 3 or 4 in each color. I don't know, I'm just asking. But if we do, does that make it reasonable to say, okay, cool, we now have a thing that can search for gods, a thing that gives gods bonuses, things that can make them tap for different colors. We can search for them. Like, are these things we want to be doing in a deck? Maybe. I don't know, but there's going to be a lot of questions to ask. Kaldheim's obviously bringing a lot of really cool questions to the table, and that's good for deck building. All right, and here's the wild card of the day. Not wild card, but a wild card that got previewed today. The World Tree. It's a land, enters the battlefield tap. Taps for a green. As long as you control 6 or more lands you control add 1 mana of any color. You can pay double Wooburg, that's 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green, sacrifice the World Tree, search your library for any number of god cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle the library. So yeah, when we're talking about having a bunch of gods in a deck and building a thing, well, maybe this is the way to do it, right? You can now have a god that taps for any color, or lets all your gods tap for any color. Legendaries, you can have a thing that can search for them, and now you have a land that can give you the mana of any color to use them all, maybe even play that Prismatic Bridge, or just get them all into play. Like, this card is good. Like, this, there will be a deck built around this at some point, and honestly, we might try it on release day, so stay tuned. But yeah, this is actually just a really cool all-around card. I can imagine if you're playing any type of 5-color deck, you definitely want this, because it's an easy mana fix for almost no punishment. I mean, yeah, this feels like all upside on this card. So yeah, go for it. All right, and I think those are all the big hitters and the big news from today. Again, I just want to say I am aware there are more things and more applications and more situations that these cards can be applied to. I'm also just trying not to make a multi-hour video every single day. Like I said, we will talk more about these in future videos. We'll probably even do a recap. And then, of course, like I said, we're going to do some streams, hopefully, at the end of all this, where we talk about as many cards as y'all want to ask questions about at the end of all the full card set being released. Also, I want to say, I think because I was talking about it funny on the Goldspan Dragon, I'm aware that the treasures that dragon makes don't tap for 2 mana. It only taps for 2 mana while the dragon's out. Like, people like to nitpick things. But that being said, thanks for sticking through this video. We have so much more to cover. They are rolling these previews out all day. Matter of fact, even while I was recording this, I think some more got released. So there will be a lot to cover every day leading up to Kaldheim. Definitely get excited about this. There's going to be a lot of different deck building things we can try. I'm going to have to hammer out a ton of deck lists. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Help us reach our 10,000 subscribers by February 1st. We are now inside of 400. I believe it's like 380-ish or 370 something. So please, please, pretty please help us hit that goal. Remember to like this video as well, share it with other people, help it get in front of more folks so we can talk about previews with everyone. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.